Another week has passed, and that means that it's time for Architecture Weekly number 55. In this issue, we're talking about breaking up a monolith at Khan Academy, fixing a $1 million query, and this really software getting worse. Before we start, I need to tell you that this week I published 2 interviews. First one was with Uwe Friedrichsen, and we were talking about where the architecture is going in 2023. Another one with Andrew Rebrov, who is a co-founder and CTO at Sandbird, and we discussed microservices, why we're using them, how we ended up with them, where this all microservice narrative go. Both recordings are already available at Patreon and Boosty. Consider subscribing, the links obviously down below in the description. If you're not keen to do that, you can just wait for a couple of weeks when they will go public. Okay, and let's start with the highlights of this week. And the first one is breaking up the monolith by Khan Academy. The question is, how do you transition from a monolith to microservices is really real. Fortunately, Khan Academy just completed a project of migrating from a Python 2 monolith to a set of Go microservices over the time span of 3.5 years. Such projects are challenging from several perspectives. So how do you start? How do you transition? Do you do that by features or by modules or by maybe API fields? And of course, organization challenges are there as well. For example, how do you retain people over the project of this time span? So Khan Academy shared what went well in their migration, what choices did they make, and what they should have reconsidered. Or grab a very insightful article from Gerarly Oresh. Okay, the next one is how to fix a 1 million query. And this one is coming from Shopify. So they decided to use BigQuery as their data warehouse solution. And they had to process the data not from one customer, but from all of them. So they tried to estimate the cost of doing so, and they got a walloping value of almost $1 million per month. So that definitely rang a bell. So they decided to optimize it hardly. So it appears that we are close, and some cluster feature of BigQuery helped them a lot, and they reduced the cost from $1 million to just $1,000 per month. Read how did they do that in an article by Shopify. And the last highlight for today comes from the Stack Overflow blog with their article on is software getting worse and why it happens. You might have noticed that modern software is crappy, slow, buggy, and not reliable. Ryan Donovan, the author of the article, argues that it's not programmers to blame, but actually the market. So people just not demanding the fast and quality software in the first place, and that's why business doesn't care. If you want more, grab the third article in the issue. Okay, time for the follow-up section. And first one is investing wisely in architecture through refactoring. As we previously highlighted in other issues, you can either do the big bang design or have no design at all. Both approaches are equally bad. And of course, we talked about the architecture at the solution level, but the same problem exists at the application level as well. And of course, you can over-engineer some things or under-engineer other. Eventually, you will learn how to balance those properly. J.B. Reisenberg actually reasons that this is an essential part of learning. And instead thinking like how much design you should do in the first place, maybe you should employ the refactoring as a tool to fight any over or under engineering in your application. And this is actually the place where some architecture patterns will draw very useful. Speaking about the patterns, please grab a free ebook by O'Reilly about the Kubernetes Patterns. So Red Hat just shared an online book with the help of O'Reilly. You will find foundational patterns like declarative deployment, managed lifecycle, behavior patterns like batch and periodic jobs, structural patterns, and many more, so grab your copy. The next one is a designing modern front-end app architecture. So you decide you want a new big front-end application. Maybe you're building something from scratch, maybe you're refactoring something or rewriting the old solution. How would you approach the front-end architecture in 2023? What quality attributes do you need to take into account? Find a well-structured and illustrated article on what you should be aware to build a modern solution. Speaking about modern solutions, next one is modern cloud for multiplayer games. So I am a personal fan of StarCraft 2, an online RTS game, and the World Championship actually just wrapped up yesterday, and that was a banger. But as a software architect, I always wondered how you design such a system given the requirement of synchronization of data between players and the requirement of low latency. So this week I stumbled upon a very good article which digs into the technical challenges of multiplayer games and explains how they can be solved within a cloud environment. And of course, when we speak cloud and multi-servers, we need to think about distributed consensus, and one of the algorithms for that is Raft. And this time I'm sharing with you an awesome thing, Raft visualized. Distributed consensus algorithms are typically hard to comprehend, and that's the reason that the good visualization can be highly valuable. So grab one for Raft and go step by step through the concepts of consensus, leader, follower, leader elections, and all the related stuff. Okay, and the last one for today is using artificial intelligence for system design and diagram creation. So, talks about ChatGPT is all over the internet right now. Some people use them for writing cover letters, some create manuals with it, and some even suggest building YouTube videos, scenarios with it. I'm not using that though. Software architects, though, are experimenting with building software systems with it. So the last one for today is a receipt of formulating the data model and diagrams, including sequence and use cases diagrams, for a wealth management system using ChatGPT below. This is truly mind-blowing and even renders the question, are the architects needed in the first place? Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much. See you on the next week, and please make sure you subscribe to the channel because every week or two I publish an interesting interview with some great folks from the industry. And of course, if you want an early access to the recording and some other perks, consider helping running this newsletter on Patreon or Boosty. Patrons and Boosty followers of a certain level get an access to a closed architecture community where we solve architecture puzzles and just discuss what's happening in the industry. You will also get your name in the list of supporters in the end of each video. Thank you very much. See ya next time.